Well, one final gator sweep here for the purposes of checking to see if you can recognize one of the athletes you've tuned in to watch here on our live coverage of this final weekend of Nike Cross Regionals in 2023. If you're just joining us for the coverage here, based on the location of this particular race course, there are parts of the course where our video signal does get a little bit degraded. We apologize for that in advance of the coverage, but we have our live trackers. We have data that will stream in at the halfway mark, and we hope you'll enjoy the coverage that we have here. And thanks again to our production crew on site in New York, getting the pictures to us from a sunny but cold Saturday morning on this holiday weekend in the United States. The Girls New York Championship at 5K set to begin here momentarily.
Paul, this could be the most intriguing race we have had of all of the NXRs. I know we've seen 5 across a couple weeks ago on one of the boys' races, but this one really could be very interesting. So many top finishers and so many big races all coming together for a head-to-head battle here. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. Really interesting.
Final moments of reflection here at the start line, waiting for that clock to reach the top of the hour. 1 p.m. on the East Coast, 10 a.m. on the West Coast, where these women hope to be a week from today at Nike Cross Nationals. At the line, ready to run. $5,000 meters separate these talented girls from a trip to Nike Cross Nationals. The New York Region Championship Girls race is underway.
The Kinetic team is very smart in how they approach their racing. For instance, last year at NXN, they won the title, and Emily Bush was their #1 finisher in 30th place. They kind of know where they need to be when. And I really admire that about how this team is coached through these major meets. Because if you look at it, you have the New York State meet, then you have the New York Feds meet, then you have NXR, then you have NXN. Those are 4 big meets on 4 consecutive weekends. And to get your athletes primed for all 4 of those races is a tough task, to say the least.
So after that opening shoot that was very wide, getting everyone a chance to run, they're going to funnel now down here alongside the Hudson River, and they'll get into the woods here momentarily. Meantime, on the left side of your screen, alphabetically we'll scroll through the individuals that make up the teams that are battling for a spot at NXN next week. And we'll expect Kinetic's squad to be coming up here shortly. But the racing underway here, 90 seconds in, Tom.
Yeah, and a little bit surprising. I would have thought there would be a bigger group here at the front because there's just so much talent in this field, But already we seem to see a little bit of separation developing, and that's Emily Bush right to the front. Now, you'll be able to spot the Kinetic runners via their arm sleeves, those pink arm sleeves. Those are the Kinetic ladies, and Bush, this is not her first rodeo on this course or in big races, and this is one of the sloppy parts of the course. This is at least her third, I believe it is her third NXR, and with a first in 21 and 8th in 22, she's all business and win and recapture that title from 21, and she's going out like she wants to grab the race by the scruff of the neck, Paul.
Was 30th at NXN a year ago was Emily Bush, as she has the early lead here in the Girls Championship race for the New York region in 2023.
Has to negotiate those uphills, which she did pretty well. She knows the tangents to run on the course, and she knows where some of the sloppy parts are, one of which, by the way, she's going through right now. But she certainly handled those early uphill wells. I will be interested to see on those switchbacks how she performs there. But you can see there's another kinetic runner right there in third. And we've got a breakaway of 4. Boy, my predictions today have been lousy. I can't believe that this has opened up as quickly as it has.
Well, that's what happens with copious amount of turkey still running through your blood screen, Tom. But still, the reason that they show up at the start line is to race. And the championship race is unfolding here. We'll get our pictures back as soon as we possibly can as they come out of that descent. And Emily Bush continues to lead here with maybe about a 10-meter advantage on second and third. Again, at the halfway mark of this race, you see them come through one of the muddier sections of the course, and Emily trying to find a space to run. And you've pointed this out on a couple of the other courses, Tom, is the best spot oftentimes at this point of the day is as close to those flags as possible.
Absolutely, because that's the terrain that most runners do not attack at all. They prefer to go down the middle. That's just kind of the runner's mentality. But if you go to either the far left or the far right, you get the grass, and it's not as chewed up, not as soft as the mud that they're running in right now. Bush saw that opportunity just a few meters ago to take the high line.
So that lead has now halved maybe as we see second and third starting to close in just a little bit on the leader Bush. 5 minutes into the race, you see in the athletic course tracker, the lower left of your screen, they'll make their way up to the 1 mile mark here shortly as the top 4 girls all in view here.
I think if Bush can run under 8:30 for that first 2.5K split, that would be a really solid performance. She has very, very compact strides. She is not somebody that is overstriding, and I find that the overstriders or the long striders have the most difficult part on the downhills. So I have a feeling, Paul, that she may actually open this thing up on the downhills because she has this compact stride, which can allow her not to get overcome by the downhill portion of the race. But we shall see.
A great shot here, one of the last long straight sections before they get back into the woods in earnest. You see the sea of runners behind the leader Bush right now, all coming up and going through that 1 mile mark. And here is one of those climbs, Tom.
Yeah, and this is probably, Paul, maybe the worst of the climbs because it's so long. It's agonizing. You know, Bush has this look on her face like she's uncomfortable, but that staccato rhythm keeps going, unabated. And I would find it very difficult to believe, after having won this race 2 years ago, finishing 8th last year, that she would have gone out too fast for herself. She knows what she's doing. She knows this course. She slipped a little bit there on some of that mud, and now she's got to confront all of these deep roots on the course, which is kind of like the equivalent of the steeplechase, if you will, a low one at any rate. And then this is one of the most narrow spots on the course. And so many twists and turns. It's really hard at this juncture of the race to get your rhythm, Paul, because there's something different like every 50 or 100 meters.
Well, the Gator tries to get up a little ahead of the leaders here, and we'll wait for them to crest this hill. 7 minutes, almost 7.5 minutes in now to the championship racing. You can see where they are out on the course, going back into the woods here in earnest for some twists and turns. But Bush, who has led from the gun, has not been able to shake all of the runners away from her, but now just the lone runner back behind there in second.
That might be Bogdan. I'm just judging by the long blonde hair that possibly could be Bogdan on her shoulder. If so, we would have the last 2 winners of this race in first and second. They should be coming up to that 2.5K split here, Paul, in about maybe 15 or so seconds.
So 8.5 minutes on the clock here as they work their way up this climb through the woods in Bowdoin Park. Championship racing for the New York region at the 2023 Nike Cross Regionals.
Yeah, it's a little slower than I thought it was going to be. Here comes the 2.5K, Matt. And I think we're going to see Bush kind of take off on these downhills, her stride. It's McInnes that's actually second, not Bogdan, so I apologize for that. McInnes in second, and then Alicia Hart, Kinetic number 2 in third. Alicia Hart second here 2 years ago. And what I said about Bush with those compact strides, Paul, you're seeing it now. She's attacking that downhill. This is where she specializes in being able to really take off in this race because she does not overstride at all.
Yeah, Tom, you looked at the difference between her and McInnes at that halfway mark. It was 1.5 seconds, and look at the distance she's now put on McInnes here as she comes flying down that hill and back towards that Hudson River section of the course. See some of the other runners going up that hill as there's a portion of the course where they're the same part of the course, just go in a different direction. Hart was 9 seconds back of her teammate Bush there, and Amelia O'Leary of the Aurora Runners in fourth, and Berkovitz of Finger Lakes running there in fifth spot overall. And then Gabrielson, who's the 8th grader, New York Class B runner-up to McInnes this year, back there in 6th position, and Belial in 7th. Again, all of these individuals could have some bearing whether they make it as members of their teams, and if they are on a team, then the top 5 individuals not associated with one of those top 2 teams would get an invite. But Tom, back to those leaders here in Bush and McInnes, and McInnes doing yeoman's work here, just trying to cover that move from the downhill and slowly but steadily staying within contact.
She's within contact. She has to make her moves on the uphills, and you can see Bush struggles a bit on the uphills. But this course is catered more to the really good downhill runners, and McInnes will probably cut that lead going up this hill. A couple other points, Paul. You mentioned Belial, so she's Kinetic number 3. So Kinetic have 3 of the top 7, and as we pointed out, Elm Avenue is the second place team as we expected. Elm Avenue's first runner is Logan Kuhn, the sophomore, but then Anna Krapowitsky, the freshman, she ran at NXN last year as an 8th grader. She's currently in 12th. So I think both teams have to be very happy with their performance. Kinetic, 3 of the top 7. Elm Avenue just very, very consistent with their team, and they both have gapped considerably Aurora runners. And again, if I am Sophia McInnes, I have got to cut this gap down on the uphills because I'm getting eaten alive by Bush on the downhills. Bush takes a couple looks behind there, but now she's in her comfort zone. It's a downhill part of the course, and boom, there's a bigger lead just on cue.
Yeah, redelivering a famous lyric by a famous Bush, in this case, Kate Bush. It's not running up that hill, it's running down that hill for Emily Bush as she has made quick work of those downhill stretches and, again, puts a bit more distance between her and Sophia McInnes. They're back in second position. You see all the way back that battle for third, fourth, and fifth with Hart, O'Leary, and Berkovitz. But now getting into the final few minutes here of the championship racing in the New York region for 2023. You can see the split for Emily Bush at the halfway mark, 9:04.3, trying to win her second Nike Cross Regional. Did so a couple of years ago. McGinnis, who was the Class B champion in 2023, third at New York Feds, still has Bush within her sights, but now starting to run out of real estate.
Yeah, and one thing about the kinetic group, at least this kinetic group, not a great bunch of track runners, not a priority for this team. They like to run the relays outdoors. You take a McInnes, she's a 4:44.34 miler, a 9:43.85 3,000 meter woman, 8th in the New Balance mile. So she's got speed to burn. That's something that Bush doesn't have. So Bush has got to do it, as we mentioned before, on the downhills. One other thing about Sadia Berkovitz, the freshman, she did not run the Feds meet, but she was third in the New York Class A that was won by this Emily Bush. So Berkovitz is someone we really got to keep an eye on in the future. Just a freshman from Ithaca, New York. And Paul, while you were talking about Kate Bush, which was a very apt shout out, I do have to say that Paul Simon, who grew up in Queens, was the one that said, you know, the nearer your destination, the more you're slip sliding away.
We may have to save those lines for the Northeast region as the course continues to deteriorate, and we'll see if anyone does go slip sliding down some portions of that course. But right now, into that bright sunshine, there you see the course tracker. There you see our leader, Emily Bush, as she continues to lead Sophia McGinnis here in the battle for the top spot in the New York region in 2023, closing in on these final stages. And, you know, again, Tom, this is the one part of the race where there's still one more climb to come, but McGinnis needs to make a move now, because every time there's been a bit of a downhill and there's another one at the finish line, there's just been no way to cover the speed that Emily Bush can generate on those downhills.
Absolutely. And so this is mission critical time. There is about 2.5 minutes left in this race. And when they come out of this grassy area, they will go into the woods for the last time, and Bush will, for the last time, have to face an uphill. And that will be really the crucible in this race to determine, you know, whether she's going to lock this and salt this away. Alicia Hart, you can see her back in third. So Kinetic still going 1-3. Of course, Bush sneaks a look behind because she knows she's got that uphill coming very, very soon.
And
Paul,
here's that left turn, Tom.
McInnes is starting to fall back a little bit. Yeah, McInnes is starting to fall back a little bit. I am a bit surprised. I think Bush has broken her, Paul. And even though this uphill is coming up here, I think she's got this one salted away, honestly.
Well, we pick up our camera position from the finish line as you can see that course tracker as Emily Bush is up in that final wooded stretch, that final climb up to the top of this particular hill, and then that gentle downslope and sweeping left turn into the finish line. You see the flags blowing just a little bit, probably actually giving the runners a little bit of a wind at their backs here for the closing stretches of this final climb and to the finish. They are now back live from the Gator is Emily Bush.
Well, as Dandy Don Meredith would say, turn out the lights, the party is over. As long as she makes it through this little uphill stretch, it literally is all downhill for Emily Bush, and she has got to be so thrilled. She won the NXR title 2 years ago on this course by 23 seconds, and she is going to pull away for a big victory.
Now look at that leg turnover as she once again reaches the downhill stretch. This time it sends her down into the final chute And for the second time in her career, Emily Bush is going to be a New York Regional Champion for Nike Cross Regionals as she wins again in 2023.
The loneliness of the long-distance runner, Paul, both for Bush and for McInnes. They were running by themselves virtually the last, almost the 2/3 of this race. And Bush there to greet McInnes, but more importantly, to see how Alicia Hart does and the rest of her kinetic teammates, because Bush is one of those team runners. Look at her. She's yelling for her teammates. And Hart coming in now in the pink, and Belial coming in as well.
I think we saw Berkovitz also come across the line here. Those final times and finish positions will populate here momentarily, but Kinetic looking in phenomenal shape to get their team back to NXN in 2023 as the top finishers descend on the finish line here to close out the New York region on the girls' side. A reminder, we will have the live coverage of the new Northeast region that follows on this course shortly. But right now, Emily Bush gets that piece of the finish line and is going to be shortly joined by Justin Knight as we'll hear from the winner here as well. Now you can see Berkovitz is indeed the third place finisher and Alicia Hart in fourth. Amelia O'Leary in fifth. Belial is in sixth. So Kinetic had three runners in the top six. Looks like Callie Gabrielson of Mount Sinai is going to be another eighth grader that'll make her way to Nike Cross Nationals. Gianna Raymer was an eighth grader who won in the Southwest region last weekend, so youth being served across the regionals so far. But as the top 20, now 26 places populate here, Tom, we keep an eye on getting those five athletes across the line for the teams. Kinetic has five across, and if you take those unattached athletes out of the placings, Tom, all five of Kinetic's athletes in the top 10 as they unofficially have 24 points. Elm Avenue with 31 points, but those again will be updated as they remove those unattached athletes from the scoring.
Yeah, and kudos again to Elm Avenue, an underclassmen-driven team. They perform marvelously today. And you talk about youth being served. How about Anna Krapowitsky from Elm Avenue, their number one finisher, freshman, who of course ran at NXN last year as an eighth grader. But Elm does a great job of packing their runners. Kate Bannigan, the junior 18th. Liv Pachter, the only senior amongst their top group, 20th. Logan Kuhn, who dropped 10 spots in that last 2.5K. She's a sophomore. She was the fourth runner in 21st. So a nice job packing them in there. Corey Conley, by the way, and Reagan Owen, 30th and 31st for Kinetic. Both are eighth graders, Paul, and both scored for Kinetic.
So we watch some of these other athletes come across the line. Again, all live results available to you on the New York regional page, which you can get to by visiting runnerspace.com or Nike Cross Nationals. Kinetic there now with 31 points. Their unofficial score now, with the scoring still to be made official here shortly. Elm Avenue in second, and Aurora standing there in that third position. Both Aurora and Legacy would have the ability to be advanced as at-large teams, but only 4 teams across all the regions will be advanced at the conclusion of these regionals this weekend.
Going back to Sadia Berkovitz, who finished third, the freshman, she's one of the few that did not race last week, and that was a wise move potentially by her coach because she is so young to give her that week off, and it paid off in absolute spades. Going to be exciting to see how she does at NXN next week.
Look at some of the spreads across the teams. Cal Harbor back there in fourth position. difference between their first athlete across the line and their fifth athlete, 2 minutes and 8 seconds. A little bit of a closer spread for Legacy, finishing in fifth. Team scores have been adjusted just slightly now, as Connecticut with 38 points, Elm Avenue with 57. So the margin growing between Elm Avenue and the Aurora Runners. But Connecticut doing what Connecticut does each and every year. We'll send another squad back to the Pacific Northwest here in 2023, and we'll be in a position to go after another team title as the legacy of this program and the heritage of this program continues. And today they were led by a now two-time winner, Emily Bush, at the finish line with Justin.
Everybody, I'm here with Emily Bush, NXR champion. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you feel now that you qualified for NXN?
I feel great. More than anything, I'm just proud of our team. We've been through so much this season, and I think we've just really been working very hard to get to this point. So it feels great to win, but not only just individually, but to have my team right beside me.
Yes. And what was the game plan going in? Did you have one?
Honestly, I just wanted to go in, keep my expectations kind of low. I just wanted to go in, not a lot of pressure on myself, just have fun. It's my senior year. I wanted to end it on a win. So I just want to go out there, see what I can do, and just, hopefully have a good one.
Wonderful. And the last question I'm going to ask you is, what are you most looking forward to at NXN?
I think just bonding with my team, and I think just getting to hopefully race with those girls. I don't know the team score yet, but I think we just want to come back strong like we did last year and just hopefully, get a good time, get a good place.
Well, I'll be rooting for you guys, and I will be there actually at NXN as well, so I'll see you there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I hope your team does well as well.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I don't know why.
Thanks very much, Justin, as we'll await another chance perhaps to hear from Emily Bush as part of the team interview here. Sounds like she wasn't made aware, but now officially Connecticut back to NXN in 2023 as the team winners here at Nike Cross Regionals.
Paul, it's going to be a tough slog for Connecticut to win the national championship for a third consecutive year. There are so many good teams like Niwot, Air Academy, those two just out of Colorado, Flower Mound, Lone Peak. Just a lot of competition, and they can actually look at one of the teams that could prevent them from winning a national title in the next race, or in two races, I should say, Union Catholic. That team absolutely loaded to the gills. So they'll get a good look at them at least this weekend. They're undefeated this season.
Final few runners coming through here to the finish line, getting our winning team in place as well. My thanks to Tom Fuhrer for helping me call this New York championship window. We'll have him with me again in the Northeast regions to come. But right now, back to the finish line as Justin Knight is with the winning team from Connecticut.
Everybody, I'm back, and I'm with Connecticut, Saratoga Springs. Congratulations to you guys for qualifying for NXN and being NXR champions. Let me ask you guys, how do you feel now that you qualified for NXN?
I feel really happy, and I'm excited to go.
You're really excited to go?
Yeah.
Wonderful. How do you feel?
I feel incredible. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to come down this way. I asked this question to your teammate that won, but what was the game plan as a team going into this race?
I think the last few weeks we've done a really good job of getting a few people, going 1, 2, 3 against the second best team. So that was just the goal, to get as many people we could in front of their first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask one more question. We're going to do this really quick. I'm going to go around for all of you guys. I already did you. But what are you looking forward to most at NXN this year?
I really like the course a lot, so I'm excited to race there.
Okay.
I'm excited for the mac and cheese post-race.
I didn't know that they do that over there. Okay, I'm going to be there, so I'm going to have to try that out.
Just being able to be there with my teammates.
That's wonderful.
Just experience,
Experience?
Yeah, I'd say being there with my team, being able to say that we went.
There you go.
Probably just to do all the things that they have and just be with my team.
Amazing, amazing. And for those that maybe, if they missed it, you want to say your answer again?
I think just being my team, making good memories, and hopefully having a really good performance.
Well, there you go, Kinetic from Saratoga Springs, NXR champions. Congratulations, ladies, once again.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Justin. We'll have him in place for those finisher interviews in the Northeast region here shortly as we set the stage for that. Going to give Tom Fuhrer a few minutes to regroup before we bring him back for the calls of those Northeast races. There are the official final results on the individual side of things. Emily Bush takes the victory. The team race now above. This now official, Kinetic with 42 points. Elm Avenue will advance automatically, finishing with 62 points, and Aurora Runners finishing in third. We'll now have to await a decision by the at-large committee whether they will get a spot at Nike Cross Nationals in 2023. Congratulations to all the athletes that competed, not only in this championship window, but also in all those open races that followed. Record numbers of entries across all of our regions this year, and just a great testament to the growth of the sport of cross-country running over the years, and another great day of racing here as Nike Cross Regionals New York is for the moment in the books, and the Northeast region coming up shortly. Well, we're not done in this region.